Hey folks, today we're going to take a look at and test this Fisher Studio Standard VCR from most likely the mid-80s sometime. VHS VCR, of course. You got your power, your eject, pause. There's your remote sensor there. Manual tracking adjustment, which I really like for some of these older tapes. So you got your typical transport controls, you know, pause, record, rewind, play, fast forward, stop. Tape speed for when you're recording, and this does SP, LP, and EP. VCR TV button on the front, so you can turn the activate and deactivate the tuner. You've got your timer stuff there. Also has these are the timer controls down here. Yeah, up there that's just the clock counter. Down here is the timer controls. So it's just your typical programming, or programmable VCR rather, from the 80s or 90s. And your channel selector here, and your presets. Since back in the day you actually used the VCR as the tuner a lot of the time. In fact, it's still on the top here under this door that's missing. Still has all of the manual tuning adjustments there. So you can, I guess that's preset tuning really. You got UHF, VHF high, and VHF low, as you can see there. So that's kind of cool. And it still has the little adjustment tool, which is just a little pointy thing. I'm surprised that's still there, considering the door's missing. And then there's this AFT button. Automatic frequency tuning is what I would guess that is. And as you can see, it's a rather long VCR. Deep, I should say. Just through the top there, you can see a power transformer. So this is back when this stuff was quality. And as I mentioned in the Thrift Store Scores video, it looks like this was serviced by this electronics company in Upper Darby, Pennsylvania. So that's right by Philadelphia. Very cool. So that's very local to me. I drive through Upper Darby when I go to Philly. So let's take a look at the VCR and just see what its quality is like, what the build is like. So let's open it up and look at it, and just take more of a look around the whole thing. Here's the back of the unit, and this looks very early to me. This has got to be like 1985 or something like that. In fact, it says A8540 right there. That could be a date code, I don't know. The nameplate doesn't say much, but it does tell you the model number. This is a Fisher video cassette recorder, model number FVH-805. It was made in Japan, so that's cool. I wonder who Fisher contracted to make this, unless they were making their own stuff. But it was the 80s, so it was probably the 80s, so I kind of doubt it. Wonder if this was made by JVC or Sony or something, or Sanyo even. You know, something like that. So on the back here, it's a non-hi-fi VCR, as you can see. It's not stereo. So you have your video inputs and outputs, and you have a pause control for cameras. Now this goes way back. This goes back to the 80s, when a video camera you would buy typically would not have its own built-in VCR. You'd have a separate one that you'd wear as like a backpack or something. And you'd have to connect the two together, and often there was a pause feature or a pause button on the camera that would control the VCR. So this is just those components separately, because they hadn't integrated the two yet really until, well, around the time this VCR was probably around. Inputs and outputs, you still have twin lead connectors here, which is interesting, but they're really nice ones. They're like thumb screws, which is cool. And of course RF. 75 ohm RF as usual, and of course somebody wrote white cable there. I guess this was in somebody's entertainment center for a long time. Channel 3 and 4, of course. Vents along there. The bottom is made of metal. So I think we should open this up and see what the build quality is like, and maybe there'll be some date codes inside as well. Alright, here we have the inside. It looks very well built to me. Early VCR build quality. There's your power supply over here. There's with that nice transformer, a zebra transformer it looks like. There's it looks like some filtering down there, that big filter capacitor. a giant STK chip here. That looks like an amplifier chip of some kind, probably for the audio, or yeah, probably the audio. This STK chip tells me that it's probably mid to late 80s then. So here you have, let's see what boards these are. Looks like here you have your video processing board, which has the tuner on it, your video inputs and stuff, and below that, I don't know what this is. This looks almost like just another, So you got your video board here. There's a board underneath that. I don't know what this board is for. Possibly more video stuff. Here's the preset board with the tuning adjustments and stuff on it. It's quite a few transistors there. Looks like silicon transistors. And a Rubicon capacitor there. That's a nice sign of quality. That looks like a chassis number or serial number or something. I have no idea. But as you can see, it has quite a few layers of board there. And look at all the capacitors in there. That's typical Japanese build quality. They throw components everywhere. Man, that's nice. That's very nice. Here's a good look at the mechanism itself. Lots of plastic in here, and I've noticed in things like CD players, mini disc players, and cassette decks, and a lot of the stuff that comes from this era, a lot of this plastic starts to get hard and brittle and snaps, and sometimes that's the end of the machine unless you can 3D print it. So if you don't have to touch the plastic, don't. It's like a nice big linkage thing there for clamping onto the tape with these two guys there. Yeah, good stuff. I don't know if this is belt driven or gear driven or what. We'll have to open up the bottom and take a look at that. But yeah, this looks like a very well built VCR for the time. It's got to be 80s. Looking at this, it has to be 80s. Just this printed circuit board alone looks very 80s because it's green and has very, very tiny little traces and stuff on it. So yeah. Of course, the bottom plate of this has a warning about high voltage, probably because the line voltage is over here somewhere and you can touch it. But it also says Japan hack. Bit interesting. Don't know what that means. There's a number written on the bottom here, 17769. Nice. Don't know what that is. Maybe that's a manual number or a part number, who knows. But anyway, let's take a look under here and see what's going on. Maybe we can see some of the power supply stuff better. And the bottom cover is off. And boy, can you see a lot more of the mechanism. It looks like it's a belt-driven mechanism. Wow, that belt still has tension on it. That belt is good. Very cool. We might have some hope with this after all. Look at that. Spins nicely. Japan Servo Company Limited, made in Japan. Nice. That's a Sanwa motor there, which I think is the eject motor. So that's really cool. And here you can see on the bottom of that board underneath the other board. Yeah, I know, great wording here, right? We got some ICs there, so I'm guessing there's quite a bit of video processing going on in here. I don't know if there's macrovision provisions in this machine or not, or anything like that. Looks like this is like a tuner of some kind. I don't know. Yeah, it's definitely the tuner. That's the IF section, because you can see the IF is plugged in right there. So maybe that's a test point there to feed in a signal. I don't know. Pretty cool stuff in here. I just love this mechanism. This screams quality, man. Look how big that flywheel is. Very cool. I bet this thing works. Just by looking at the condition it's in, I bet it works. So we'll have to plug this in and give it a test of some kind for sure. Oh, would you look at that? Let's see if I can read this. I see 5827. 5927 are what those four things say. I assume that's a time or a date. Man, I don't know how to read that, but to me it says 5927. I don't know. That's a weird one. Modern technology meets the old, I guess. Anyhow, yeah, this VCR looks very well built, as these early VCRs often were. So let me put this cover back on and we'll plug it in and give it a test. Okay, so here's the setup to test this. Here are my usual VCRs. The bottom one is a Sony DVD VHS combo that does hi-fi VHS. And above is my old standby Zenith VCR, which has been my oldest VCR to date and seems to play my non-hi-fi tapes the best. In fact, I just used it for a big video conversion project and it didn't skip a beat. It worked great. And so far this has been my best non-hi-fi VCR, and I'm wondering how this Fisher is going to compare. So I have to do a very cockamamie setup, but this is really just to test it to make sure it works. This isn't for optimal video quality, so I'm going to have to plug this VCR into the line input of the Zenith, which is plugged into the line input of the Sony, which is plugged into the capture card of this PC, which on screen now has video displayed on it, so that's what we're going to use to test this. I wanted to use the Trinitron, but I didn't have cables long enough, so this is convenient, and it'll get the job done, so it will suffice for now. Alright, let's plug it in, see what happens. Okay, did we get something? Yeah, we do. Look at that. It's not 12 o'clock, it's 0 o'clock. So, now I just need to plug this in and get the video on the right thing, and we'll make this happen. Alright, let's turn it on. Hey, we got sound. Sounds like the tuner in this thing is working for sure. Keeps shutting off on its own. That's really weird. Wonder why that's happening. Let's pick a video and see what happens. Yeah, that video doesn't want to come out. Guess who's going to have to open this up again? So this thing just turns on, and then shuts off. Huh. Well, that's bizarre. Well, that's unfortunate. This thing doesn't work. Now I gotta get that damn tape out of it, but I don't need to film that. Yeah, that's a shame. Yeah, it turns on and then shuts off. So something is making it mad, and it's kind of hard to tell what exactly is. I don't know how easy of a fix that's going to be. I'll poke in there and see if I can make it work at some point. When you move this around, you do hear stuff rattling around inside, so there could be some broken components of the mechanism that I'm not seeing. So, yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's just old grease, too. You never know. I'll have to do some more investigating of that at some point. But so far, this thing doesn't work, which is a shame. So I got to fish that tape out of it. But video on the stereo will be incoming, so that I am pretty confident I can get working. So we'll try looking at that next. But there you have it. That's this Fisher VCR here. That's this Fisher VCR here, the Studio Standard FVH-805. So as you can see, I've been playing with this VCR a little bit to diagnose it, and I think I have something. This belt here is really loose, and that motor just keeps going whenever you turn the thing on. You can see that. It just has no torque there. It's just slipping, like, really badly. So this belt is okay. This belt is not, and I think if I replace that belt, this thing will probably work. I got a tape stuck in it, and I don't know how to get it out, so that's going to be fun to deal with. Yeah, that's going to be an adventure, but we have a diagnosis, at least. So, in the future, I guess I'll maybe repair this thing. If that is really the only problem, that's an easy fix. Anyhow, there you have it, everyone. Hope you enjoyed this video, even though it ultimately ended up in failure. If you want to reach me on social media, those links are down below. And if you want to join our Discord chat, that link is down below as well. Have a good one, everybody. Ciao.